Okay, so we're here to talk about RimWorld. If you haven't given RimWorld a shot, it went to 1.0 this last summer, and it is amazing. The problem though is that when I look on YouTube, there are not very many good RimWorld videos. There's a lot of just horrible strategy advice, just horrible and wrong, frankly. So I decided I'm going to make a video and talk about especially like the tactics for fighting. Just atrocious. And usually when you go on YouTube, there's just answers to all the questions. And I don't understand why this game has just get horrible YouTube coverage. So we're going to load up. I play permadeath, rough, or harder. These are all rough games. This one here is from beta 18, this one here is from 1.0, and this one here is from 1.0. We're gonna load up this one. We're gonna look around, and then I've got highlights of this run's the fighting and caravanning and all of that kind of stuff to go through, and hopefully you'll pick up some tips. So I'm gonna pause it. This is my base. These are my colonists. This is the spaceship. We've researched everything. It's the 6th year, which is really 7 years in. 7 quadrum. 378 days. So I wanted to stop here because we're pretty much based up for the waves when we activate the reactor. I got a little bit more stockpiling to do, but this is pretty close. There's turrets, all over the place, including kind of inside the base, so that when you get spawned directly on top of, there's, some stuff for the enemies to worry about while you set everything up. This is my kill box over here. I see a lot of I put the EMP grenade guys over here and they spam this spot while everyone else stands pretty much over here. You're going to see in the highlight videos when I do it. If you're playing on the harder difficulties, you've got to have something like this. They used to let you just rearm the traps. Now you have to have traps built. So I even have a backup traps area. You keep all the wood right near where you put the wood traps, so on and so forth. A lot of people don't understand that you can have a radius for where they find the ingredients for cooking meals. You can see I've set the radius. You go into details, ingredient radius, and there's a slider. It's super important so that people aren't walking all over the place to get one little handful of stuff. You have some shelves, your cooler. There's a little airlock here for the cooler, and it's double walled, so it doesn't use any extra electricity that it needs to. There's not a lot of videos about caravanning. Caravanning in this game is amazing. It's easier now in 1.0. It's been simplified. You can get awesome items like these vanometric power cells, orbital power beam targeter, orbital bombardment targeter. At any rate, this is how we're set up. You can kind of see the other thing is, I always hear these suggestions about building a mountain base. It's a horrible idea. Mountain bases get infestation, and if you're playing on any of the real difficulty settings, it's just a disaster. You can see I mined this area out, and then I backfilled the area that would be covered by a mountain roof. If it gets higher than 7 degrees and it's covered by a mountain roof, you can have an infestation, and you don't want them in your base. It makes no sense. there's mining right here outside my base, and when it gets infested, they run outside, and then the enemies run down through these traps, and I can shoot the excess. Anyway, just some really just horrible strategy advice to let yourself get infestations. It's just like you spend all that time playing and building it up, and then you just have one that just kills everyone. Dumb. So let's load up the highlights, I guess. I don't have a lot more to add there, I think. I guess some people talk about before they start the amount of wealth you need. You can kind of see I'm right at 400,000. I've never really kept track of what this damage number means, but I haven't had any deaths. No one's really been hurt. Sanders had a Mega Sloth take out both of his eyes early on when I wasn't watching and he was hunting. So let's go to the highlights and we'll walk through that. Okay, so this is early game before I've set up any exterior walls. So quick little bunker. I've obviously recruited a couple of guys. When I got Sanders, he had one leg. And he got 3 eyeballs pulled out during this playthrough. This one here, we end up capturing Belle. And Belle, she's carrying her EMP grades, and she continues to be our EMP Grenadier. But we took Belle from a 0 shooter up to like level 8. She can shoot too. This is actually a mistake here. This is early game. You should never have any like animal you care about out fighting. And I had just forgotten to disable Dee Dee's dog here. And as she's chasing after Belle, she gets hit in the brain with a bullet. And eventually we have to sell her to a trader because she's a nuisance. But yeah, any bonded animal, you don't want them fighting with you. It's a mistake. I've kind of decided I don't really like the pillars as much, even though they give you 5% extra cover than the sandbags. I feel like you end up being more flexible with like a big sandbag bunker. Okay, so this one here, you can choose to get rid of an infection by amputating, or you can try to cure it. And in this situation, Miriam got treated by someone in this group who was not a good doctor, and so this infection gets really, really high. So I drafted Dee Dee, sat him by the meds, and right when it could be tended, I was able to bump this immunity so it's going faster than the infection. But that's the closest we came to losing a character. And then the other alternative would be you could amputate the eye. But then you're scavenging for bionic eyes in the early game, which is, you know, it is what it is. So here's a caravan. We take the alpaca and we set it at a home area down there real quick. Here I should have had those guys hold their fire until Leighton got up there, but I didn't realize he had food poisoning. This is an easy fight because it's against tribes people. You just get some cover behind the rocks. Leighton we end up putting up behind this tree. The caravan has been made easier because you can just reform your caravan at the end of the fight. And guys will treat each other's wounds and stuff. A lot easier than Beta 18. This character, Zigo Guabe, ends up marrying Leighton in this playthrough. So he stopped shooting Stop shooting at her because Magpie's out in the open. She's behind cover. And also, Miriam's not really in cover over there anymore because they flanked her. So that's the important enemy over there. So it's just kind of like a slow-mo easy fight of like when they, you know, you gotta be covered from all angles. And they weren't there, that's why I changed what I was shooting at. Now you're just cleaning up the mess. Because the fight's over. But you get the most fun, unique, rare items typically from fulfilling the bandit camp quests, and they seem to be more balanced. Like I said, this is all on rough, so they all seem pretty doable to me. This is why I like wood traps. This is one of the factions that I hadn't made peace with yet. They gave me a peace talks quest and it failed, which I hadn't had to happen before. It's just a good way to slow everyone down. You can kind of see here as they enter into the yard, they're isolated single file. You can kind of see as we go through too, from early game to late game, they will, I'll change this little trap area a little bit. You kind of like, you can kind of see Davies and Zigagabe don't want to fire because they're blocked off there. You gotta pull them out so they have a view. At the same time, they're protected over there. And you can kind of see the enemies taking cover right there at the entrance. So it takes me 1 or 2 fights and I realize that I need to get rid of those blocks on the right hand side there. And then they're all much more exposed. But I watched a video today that said that you're only going to get the enemy spawning on top of your base when you have open roof areas. And that's not correct. The enemies spawn on top of your base if they spawn on top of your base and they break through the roof areas. Davies, they spawned right on top of him and the roof cut his neck before the fight even started. I had to send him to the med while the fight was going on. So again, it's just like, I just don't know why people say stuff. Here, they spawn in my base. I had roof over here. They spawned in my little, kind of see inside these 2 rooms. Now you can see this is why I like to put turrets. This is the turret up there on the right hand side is the only one that I had destroyed this whole playthrough. Was in this little fight here. They got that one first while my guys kind of formed up. And now I'm just trying to, you know, decide where I want to place guys, and I get the guys that are outside first. And you can even just kite them around your base while the turrets shoot at them. And then when they stop and try to melee a turret, you can form up and shoot at them. I like to have these hallways that are 2 blocks wide. That way you can put these turrets down and they have coverage all over the place. It's worked really well. So you don't need those pillars in the middle of this storeroom to keep that building up. It'll do it by the way it's shaped there anyway. I put those pillars there though for cover when stuff spawns in there, you want to fight in that room. The other reason is if you got sappers blowing down a bunch of walls in that room, some of the roof might fall down in the middle, so it's good to just have a pillar or 2. You can kind of see I'm just waiting. I'm getting the guy in the room first, and then I'll go into the other room and get those last 2 guys. That's how you mitigate you know, damage being done. Probably could have sent guys up there a little sooner, but I also see all these. I see all these bases with wood walls and stuff. Wood doors make sense because they open faster. Wood walls and like all these carpeted floors and stuff, those can get set on fire. I just don't understand why people have those everywhere in their base. I've got statues all over the place for beauty. I've got a lot of granite floors that give you +1, not +2 like a carpet. I don't know, it just... People are all... I mean, this is probably my last rough playthrough. I'll probably play on the next difficulty up from now on, because this was a little easy, I thought, but... I definitely don't have stuff that can get set on fire just randomly. Like, comprising my base, so... So you just kind of don't panic. Set the door for hold open here, I think. I thought they'd just come right out, but they needed a little bit more stimulation. See, she has a masterwork chain shotgun that I got from doing a caravan quest. So I think Belle is the one who gets in a few shots here. So once I get their attention, I don't want them to engage melee inside that room. I want them to come out where everyone can get a shot at them. So you don't want them to be like in the doorway, the enemies. You want to now kite your 2 people there out of the way. Davy's not going to do any good. And then, just like randomly to mention, I usually use the plasteel turrets because they have 335 hit points, and the steel turrets have 160. It's a huge difference. You just save up a little plasteel. I'm always buying the plasteel. I also use plasteel advanced helmets. They last like for years. They have 335 hit points. Just a real easy caravan. I think that one was one where the caravan was ambushed. And then I was deciding if I always check out these guys. You just check them out. I don't take people with addictions. So they're too annoying to nurse back to health. But what we should have done here is we should have walked over and took his clothes off so that they wouldn't be tainted. But I was just in a hurry. And so I just shot this guy. See, I'm thinking, can we save him? Nah. We could have really easily, but I'm not sure why I chose not to here. It's pretty easy to sell them as prisoners. You just take them into your caravan, take them to the nearest town, basically, and this is what I was talking about you just reform your caravan now. Even if somebody's injured, if you have the meds in your inventory, and you have somebody who's a doctor, he's, you know, doing his doctoring, they'll do it right away when the caravan starts moving again. So here's an easy one. They put us in an area where there's all these trees for cover, and these guys had to run a long way, so they have no chance. Just put your people behind a tree. Because we have so much range, I'm a huge fan of the bolt-action rifle in this game. It's a really good weapon to build a bolt-action rifle, give it to your colonists, and then send them out hunting, and they will level up their shooting skill pretty quickly. Just hunt everything on the map, or even just, you know, a third of the stuff in the map. Here we're using the Psychic Insanity Lance on the guy with the highest melee, the best weapon. And then we go over here and we unclick Fire at Will. I think this time Miriam's got food poisoning, that's why she's slow. And I usually bring 30 or 40 pieces of steel with me, and if I don't like the rocks setup, I will build a little bunker. But if the rocks are good, you can kind of see their rocks are too far away for them to get in range, so they get massacred here. Okay, these are, the transport pods are really useful. This one here, we're using the transport pods to fulfill a caravan request, a good one. But what happened was we loaded up 2 separate batches with the pods, like 1 pod and then 2. So we had to launch one and then the other. It's an illustration of using these. We had already loaded them up, and there goes there's people in those 2. Then there's the trade goods in this one. And it looks like you've got to send people and the goods together. You can't just send it, otherwise it'll give it as a gift. So we just sent a small caravan. There's another caravan we have out that's going to attack an outpost. I'm gonna give the auto pistols to this caravan so they can turn it in for the reward. It's a pretty good reward. We got 3 tech-proof sub-persona cores this time, and they give you whatever research you're working on immediately for free. We use them on the long-term spaceship parts. Got it immediately. It's pretty good. So now that we're there with the caravan, we traded with them as well. We just got. That too. I've got a lot of hours in this game. I've never gotten one of these. Never used one yet. Same with the power beam. So it's just like one of those things where can play this game a lot and not see some of these rare items very often. I've got way over 500 hours. This isn't the same one. This is now a different one where we're just sending him a gift, and that gift put us over the top because the way that the diplomacy works now is that it can deteriorate with a couple of the factions. So at that point I was close to being allied and I wanted to get it all the way there, and if it bumps below, if it goes back down, you remain allied even though it's below 75. And at this point in the game, this is obviously, I still wasn't allied with that tribe. But you'll see a couple fights here in the future that will eventually get us allied with them. And then you can't be allied with the pirates. This is one of those examples of, like, this is why I like the traps. If these polar bears just came at me without walls and traps, they'd probably destroy a couple turrets, might damage a couple of colonists. But in this fashion, you almost don't even need to draft your colonists to shoot at them. You can be sending caravans out and not have to worry about how many people you have defending your base, because you know it's going to be fine. I just haven't seen, there's not a lot of, I just haven't seen other, I'm sure on Twitch, if I looked hard enough, there's a bunch of good players of this game on Twitch, but I just haven't seen better strategies for less resources than something similar to this. You can see the doors are just there because when your people put the trap, your people use the doors, the enemies don't. The enemies try to break through the doors when they escape. You'll see that here. I think this one here was like, there was one where there was 42 tribespeople, and there was one where there was 62 tribespeople, and they came within 3 days of each other. So it was like 106 tribespeople. And I managed to capture 3 of them, nurse them back to health, release them, and then I'm allied with that tribe. After I gave them a couple of gifts. Basically it was pretty awesome. See all their weapons drop in the trap line? So after I allied with them, I picked up all the weapons from all their dead soldiers and I sent them in a transport pod back to them, and that put me over the top for being allied with them. It was like there had to have been 50 or 60 weapons. So when they try to run away, now they're confused about how they came in. So they'll try to get through the doors. You can bring all your people out, and you can basically choose to kill as many as you want, or you can let them get away, whatever you choose. I mean, they're going to be slow as they're retreating. These traps in this system are probably the best for the mechs, because you can kind of see how quickly they move. You need to isolate and separate them down single file. Otherwise, you've got your people all shooting at a different one, not concentrating the fire. You can have somebody throwing EMP grenades at the entrance, but I usually only do that when it's like necessary with like the centipedes. Kind of see one gets through here. So I'm going to bring my meleeer over, and I just keep the meleeer there. If somebody gets hit or something, you can rescue them even during the fight. Or if a fire gets started, you put a fire out. I have somebody in my group now who's incapable of violent, and I just draft them and I put them in a doorway nearby. I use them to rescue anybody. Or you can use them to kite people around the base if they get free. We got a Plasteel Gladius legendary from one of those caravan quests, so that person there is pretty formidable. Big fan of using these transport pods. The thing is, you just want to make sure whatever you're using them for is worth the cost. So right here we're trading 25 short bows for an anti-green warhead. Anti-green warhead is just super rare. I've only ever gotten one of them. That's the one right there. So I see a lot of debate on how to deal with sieges. I always rush mortar technology in my plays, and this is why. I don't love using them. They're very not accurate, but you just need one shot, and that's how you deal with sieges. I never get people getting shots off. I usually have 2 mortars, 3 for the whole playthrough. I don't know, I don't use that many. The high explosives, just like what we just saw, then they rush your base, they're basically already dead. So right there I've experimenting at the entrance there with some different IEDs, just to try to see how much damage they do. And we've got the EMP Grenadier there, getting the entrance. I'm sorry, I always get caught up in micromanaging during the fight when I should just let it all play till the end. You really want to EMP the centipedes with Inferno Cannon. They don't do a lot of damage, but they'll set your guys on fire sometimes, and then they will run around in the open, and the blasters will hit them. So you can kind of see too that they're not even really able to turn to the left where the majority of my people are standing. It's like exactly where I want them to shoot, is at those 2 turrets. You can kind of see Elfie over there wasn't in a good spot. He's too far over. It's more of an when I start flanking, it's more of that's like the emergency spot, the overflow. You get people who are coming out into the open. So here we're caravanning, and I usually bring a lance, an Insanity Lance or a Shock Lance with me, depending on how many people. And this one was a good one. We use it right on that guy as he's going through the doorway. He gets all these people's attention, and he's doing all this damage. And meanwhile, we're shooting at his friends. And you got, like, there's decent rock position here, but if I was going against pirates, I wouldn't be lined up like that because they'd have guns. These guys just aren't, the natives don't have enough firepower to do anything to you. Again, we're going to use up an Insanity Lance on the guy who's got the best. He had the best fighting skills, and he had the best armor. You know, usually you can tell who it is. Their names, it's usually like boss or chief or shaman. They don't make it hard. But this is a good one. He gets everybody's attention. Does a lot of damage. And then here, there was no good rocks, so you can see we built a real quick bunker. Some sandbags. And it's just, that's how you want to do it. You want to get them before they can even get into cover, be in the right range of your weapons. You can kind of see right as they're trying to get into cover, we're really hitting them. And it's just not even an issue. I like the longer range weapons. I don't really use any auto pistols or machine pistols or heavy SMGs. It's the bolt actions, the sniper rifles, charge lances. You don't want to have too many sniper rifles because they take so long to get a shot off. So this one here, I was gonna aim at the trap to set it off with all these guys coming out, but I think he walks on it anyway. Yeah. Really doesn't take out a lot of guys. He has the potential to. This is one of the good fights. This might have been the 62 guys. This is a good fight. You know, he randomly gets hit by a bow shot at the brain. Fortunately, I still had healer mech serum. I had one left, so he ends up being healed. You don't have to worry about Per. He's okay. That was a pretty bad shot. That's pretty rare to have something, because he had like he had a plasteel helmet on. Well, whatever. Nobody else gets hurt at this fight, legitimately. And they get slaughtered. And we didn't have all of our traps set up when they came. And then I hadn't even set Dee Dee loose yet. And I know that I don't show it here in the video, but Dee Dee kills like 10 people running away. It's hilarious. And that Vexa Garako guy is the one who got Per in the brain. Pretty sure everybody else was like bruised. Basically, I just rescue him right away. Change back all your areas. Oh, I forgot to say, Night Owl is like the best trait. Just put him on night duty, get plus 12 happiness all the time, every day, whenever they're up at night. It's like the easiest thing. Plus you have people working at night. 2 night duty characters. The other one is obviously anybody who's sanguine, you want to take them. A lot of the, seems like a lot of the fights happen at night, tend to happen at night. So you have people who won't break at night. That's my character right there who won't fight. She's just running around distracting. This one here I think was like 7 or 8 centipedes. They just don't do anything because we've got the EMP grenades going off. It was 7 or 8 centipedes after the Lancers. So this is a pretty big mech. Okay, and so here's why I make these little bunkers for mining with the deep drill. When they spawn, that one there was uranium. You just run your person inside, and then the insects go through your traps. And this one's a good example because I don't even draft anyone. Infestations used to like almost wipe out my whole colonies when I was first playing this game, and now they're never in my base, never, because I don't mine in my base. It's a no mining zone. Kind of see I put a couple of steel traps in there sometimes. It's really, you probably don't really want to waste any steel on the traps. Wood is probably fine. You just need steel for so many things, so. If you like fighting those mega spiders up close and personal, you know, be my guest. They tend to slice off my colonist's arms and legs, so I prefer not to deal with them. I think some people say that this method looks boring, but there's a lot going on in this game. I think the caravanning is a lot more interesting than it was in Beta 18. And there's a lot of fights that I didn't put on here where you don't have traps built yet and you have to have everybody fighting. And like I said, as you scale up the difficulty, it just becomes... there's just more and more going on, so you could have, you know, raids happening at the same time. I had a raid happen while an infestation happened, and so what I did was just open up the door of the infestation and they attacked the tribes people. It was pretty awesome. So I mean, there's a lot going on. Oh, I mortared the thrumbos, whatever they are, while a raid was going on, and they started attacking the pirates. While the pirates were doing a sapper incursion. If you haven't noticed, the sappers are trying to avoid areas in your base where there's not turret coverage. So if you're having troubles with sappers, it's because there's spots behind your walls that your sappers can tell do not have turrets. Or they have, in my base, it's the spots where the turrets have the least amount of coverage, which there really isn't much, so it's kind of varied where they want to attack. But typically I just build my walls thick enough where I can just mortar them. Or I can pot shot them with a sniper from one of my entrances. Or I just let them come through and then I kite them around my base with all the turrets. The last time they came through, sappers came through my north wall, the wall up top, and I just let them come through and they walked into a lot of turret fire. So yeah, that was a lot of mechs. This is another one where I built a little area, and then this one kind of backfires on me. I use the Insanity Lance on the frag grenade guy because I feel like that would really mess up the enemy. But he immediately runs out towards me. So I'm like, uh-oh. But here's a tip. There's some maps where, like this one, where there's like along the roads where you can claim some of the like ancient lampposts or something. So I claimed a few of them before the fight started, and what you'll see is that the enemy will try to go destroy them because I claimed them before the fight started. So that guy, obviously he was crazy, he came at us. Albert's coming at us, so we're gonna shoot him. But then Sandro here, he's not coming at us. Why is that? Where's Sandro going? That's not towards us, Sandro. What are you doing, Sandro? I just redrafted everyone so that they set up their... They weren't confused. See, you can see he's headed for this thing that I claimed, whatever it is. Ancient post or something. So that distracts them for long enough where, you know, you're able to get them single file, take out those frag grenader guys before they can do any damage. But I'm flanked here, so I'm gonna move my guys. And they're really, actually, they're not in cover unless you're right up against. So really, Alfie and Leighton are not in cover. They should be behind trees. But I wasn't worried because I knew no one was in range, so. So this one here, I didn't have any steel. I only had two, like enough for 2 sandbags. I made a bunch. Didn't have any steel. Purr isn't in cover, and he's standing on top of Lumi, who's asleep and not drafted. So yeah, we weren't ready to start that fight. But you can kind of see I just set up a dump pile. I made them all move rocks. And that gave me enough cover to take out these pirates. And it would have been... we would have been better if we had started the fight, you know, on our terms, but... Just concentrate the fire on the melee character, because you don't want people meleeing your guys. That takes them out of the fight. We get hit a couple times here, but at the end of the fight you'll see that that's just bruises. We're going to take the guy who's not in cover. He made a mistake. It's pretty weak behind that tree. And then we're going to take the... This guy's pretty susceptible. And then that was it. You can kind of see just a couple of minor injuries, so all you have to do is form up, because I had medicine and I had doctors in that party, and they take care of the injuries right away when they go back into caravan mode. This one dared to have a turret. When they have the turrets, I just walk over and I shoot the solar panel, and that takes out the turret. You can keep the turret too, take it back with you. It's just another example of a bunch of centipedes. Centipedes want to shoot at Bell, turrets, or Mushinto. They aren't even going to turn to the other guys. And this is another example of where, you know, I only have half of my guys here to defend the base. Everybody else was out caravanning. So if you don't have a little setup like this, it's a lot of firepower to take on, you know, on the enemy's terms. You don't have walls. Right here, I'm just gonna put out the fire on the gun. That character doesn't do violence, but it's got a shield belt on and good armor, so it's also like kind of send her out there as a decoy, even. But I just don't want, I don't like, you know, obviously I don't want any turrets to blow up. In this front yard here, actually I think in this playthrough only one turret's been destroyed, so you want to defend your turrets as well as have them defend you. Okay, and that's it. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. I'm gonna live stream the 15 days when I turn on the reactor for their spaceship. See if we can get off this planet. Thanks for watching.